We are so excited for this week's episode of the HomeBod podcast. We have Megan Winkler joining us. She is a virtual CMO. Now, I'll be honest, I did not know what CMO stood for when we first chatted, but Chief Marketing Officer is what it stands for soulful entrepreneurs, which I can't even say, who are building sustainable, authentic, and energetically aligned businesses, which I love. You know, we are all about positive energy and vibes and all that stuff. She's known as the Good Business Witch and has a podcast with the same name, which I love.
That's awesome.
Megan incorporates strategy and spirituality to create one-of-a-kind business and marketing plans for her clients through her proven client attraction circles framework. She's worked with award-winning architects, physicians, and multiple Fortune 500 companies. Super cool. And she holds a master's in military history.
Ooh.
That we might have to chat about, as Ashley is a military kid. And with a concentration on women's leadership. Megan lives in North Texas with her partner, Mike, their teenage daughter, Emma, and some very temperamental houseplants. So welcome, Megan. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
So fun to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks. Yeah. Well, we can definitely get into that degree. I'm actually also, the women's leadership is actually my MBA, which I'm currently in. So I'm either a glutton for punishment or the most confident person most people know. I'm not sure.
I love that. I didn't even know. I mean, I guess military history would be a degree that you would need to know, but what made you choose that?
It was really wild. I was in my undergrad and I needed an elective. And I just liked having conversations with my dad, and he was really into World War II. And I thought, well, I'll just take this military history course. And I ended up just loving it because I took a very psychology-based approach to it. So for me, it was about strategy. And I studied, when I went on to grad school, I studied a lot about women's roles in the military and during wartime and how that shifted, before and after and during the wartime. And I also really looked into propaganda. So I was looking at, racism in World War I, World War II propaganda when it comes to, Europe versus Asia, all that. So I really have never been concerned about the specific dates of particular battles or how big or how many cannon they had on the battlefield. I wanted to know how it affected the rest of society and kind of the things that led up to, and then what happened afterwards as well. Because I'm just
fascinated. I kind of wish that that's what they taught, because let's be real, none of us remember those dates. We memorize them for the test and regurgitate it and we're done.
Yeah.
I think if they taught more of that stuff, we'd all pay a lot more attention.
I think it would be a lot more interesting too. Yeah. We'd like it more.
Well, and I think it's vital. I mean, the date isn't necessarily, important at all. Mm-hmm. It's how everything else is integrated, how all that webbing comes together. And it's fascinating to me. I love taking the approach of looking at it as a strategy, as a whole picture. Going into it, also the whole picture coming out of it, how much can we learn coming out of something like World War I, World War II, and all this on a strategy level to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself.
Right. That's what I was just thinking.
I
was just thinking if they did teach that more, maybe history wouldn't repeat itself so much, because learning the dates doesn't help us not repeat the mistakes.
Exactly.
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, it's so cool. Well, let's get into what you do now.
Yeah.
So the Good Business Witch. Where did that name come from? I love it. It's so cute and creative.
Yeah. So I was actually sitting in an 8-week course with my coach, and I have worked with her for several years at this point, because it's not so much what I hear from her, but it's the creative space that she fosters and she facilitates for us. So she was talking about something else, and I just kind of jotted down in my notes, the Good Business Witch, because I'd had a previous coach who I presented the idea of, I'm kind of like the fairy godmother for your business. I can flit around, I can do the things. And she was like, no, you need to be an expert. And I was just like, wasn't the fairy godmother the expert?
Yeah.
I'm confused, but I think she didn't like, I think she felt it was fluffy. And I'm making that story up, don't get me wrong, because she never went into more detail than that. But I think she was aiming for something that was like high ticket, accelerator, push, 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 this very masculine vibe, which I absolutely believe there's place for that in business. But I was going for more of a, hey, I'm guiding you through your own hero's journey. And I'm like the fairy godmother or the good business witch.
I love that. I love that because
yeah.
we are always kind of pushed into that masculine aspect of it. And for some of us that works, but I think for so many it doesn't. And a lot of women probably get really discouraged.
I was encouraged by a coach once to be much more masculine in my approach to business and in my marketing attempts than what I was, and I flatlined my business so fast. It's just absolutely vital to stay true to who you are, market yourself for who you are, brand yourself for who you are. And so I love the idea of, the good meeting the witch, because, in and of itself, it's kind of an oxymoron, but we've all seen, the Glinda the Good Witch, like we know that she's such a different personality and a different character than the fairy godmother.
Right.
And so I like that imagery going into it. And I like how you've taken, you're focused on those soulful entrepreneurs. And I love how you said that you combine the strategy with the spirituality. Like here's, a very hard hitting, like, I like how it's very literal, it's very strategy, it's very, numbers driven or something like that, combined with the spirituality side of things. And so there again, you've got that, the duality, the juxtaposition of the good and the witch and the logic and the spiritual. Tell me how you've embodied this brand for yourself, how that's carried you forward.
Oh, absolutely. So you can see on the video, I've got a little crystal in my hand. It's my favorite. And so, I'll sit here and I'll hold a crystal to kind of ground myself. And it's not so much that that's like the power of the crystal. It's that I've got something weighty in my hand. Right. And I've got some, oh, nice. Oh, what do you have? Is that a jasper?
No, it is a flower agate.
Oh, nice. I have one of those somewhere.
I don't have any rocks.
I love my rocks. I've got piles of them. It's ridiculous. There's all kinds around me. But I really and truly, what I do in business is kind of like goes back to that first grad degree, right? Where I'm bringing in something very masculine and something very feminine and mixing them. And I was in the same spot that you were, Ashley, that I tend to default to really masculine business practices. So for me, strategy and structure, that's not hard. But anytime I just go like full force into it and like tried to market myself that way and all that, I totally hit a burnout point because I really wasn't honoring this other side of myself. And I really feel like so many of us will approach business in a certain way. I know a lot of yoga teachers, and God knows I was the meditation teacher in this example, but coaches and such, that they have a lot of the right brain of it all. They have a lot of the feminine creativity of it all. They feel very empowered in the modality that they've just been certified in, but they don't have any of the structure. They don't know how to market themselves. They don't know good sales techniques. So they feel like they can't sell their offerings without sounding phony or gross. We don't have like content calendars or like a scheduling app. Like these things don't tend to come up in certification programs. And those kind of businesses will also fail. So just having this blending, and it comes in every part of my life, and I just adore it. So some days I'm all the jewelry and the flowers, and other days I'm in tank top and jeans and boots and hair pulled up, and we're, digging in the dirt, whatever. And life is all about that blending of all parts of you.
Well, and that was what I really loved that you talked about was being authentic and being you. And some days you do want to be girly, and some days you do want to be more focused and quote unquote masculine. I know recently we went out for our anniversary and I posted a picture of myself in a dress and heels, and like people they were like falling over themselves. Like, what's happening? Like, I do know how to dress like a girl and do the thing. It's just not my natural state of being. Because let's be real, those heels hurt and those dresses are not, I mean, the one I wore was super comfortable, which is why I wore it. But I think it's important to be able to tune into, okay, today, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, this is who I am. And yesterday, this is who I was, and not get so wrapped up. I think a lot of times Ashley and I work with a lot of type A, super tightly wound women that try to put themselves in the box and check the box and do all the things. And it's like, sometimes it's okay to not be that person today. You can be the person that just wants to take a bubble bath and wear a nice satin robe and feel girly,
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us, where does mindset come into play in your business? Because that is, the uniting factor between what Ash and I do. And so where does mindset come in for you?
It's in like every aspect of it. It sounds like a cop out, but I promise it's not.
Good answer.
I know, right?
Well, you did already kind of mention, where you do some of the analytical stuff, but then you have the spiritual, which is the mindset. So do you coach clients on that? Do you just kind of talk about it? How does that work?
I definitely coach people on it. And that's really why I say I'm a virtual chief marketing officer, or CMO, is that, I'm a person that you can invite to the table, literally or metaphorically, when you are struggling with, your marketing, with your sales. I've got clients that they'll message me up on Voxer and be like, I know I need to go live and I just can't do it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's stop. Let's just pretend that you don't have to go live today. And let's just think about it. What about going live do you like? What do you not like? Like, what's standing in your way? And a lot of times we get down to that bottom part, right? Those after those 5 whys, it's like, oh, well, I just don't feel prepared to talk about this topic because I know I need to do it. I know I need to advertise it, but I haven't really wrapped my head around it. And it's like, okay, well, let's back up. Now, what do you need to wrap your head around to feel good about this thing, so that you can go live to talk about it, so that you can get on those sales calls, that sort of thing. So mindset comes into play anytime we're talking about being visible. There's a lot of people, like, still, reels have been out for, I think, a year at this point, but there's still people that are like, well, I don't know any TikTok dances. And it's like, well, it's Instagram reels. You don't have to.
Yeah.
It's Instagram, not TikTok, and, people, we get just these ideas kind of stuck in our head about the way things should be or have to be. And I absolutely love that it's like, no, it does not have to look like that. I tell my clients and I tell my listeners, I tell everybody I can, I'm like, owning a business is a revolutionary act. And I definitely stole that from somewhere and I cannot remember where. So it's not like an original thought for me, but as soon as I heard it, I internalized it so much. And it's like, yeah, we are breaking the rules. Right. And we are, going out and doing it differently. So it's okay to show up with your hair in a high bun in PJs and chat on an Instagram live to connect with your people just because you want to.
Sure.
Not because you're trying to sell something or, whatever.
I live in a world of people who want to be perfect. There is a constant state of perfectionism. And a lot of times that perfectionism is shown as the very opposite, because if we don't want to, if we can't do something perfect, we're not going to do it at all. And I think that's one of the best lessons that I have personally learned, and one of the best lessons that I try to convey to others and any home that I go into, is to say, look, nobody's perfect. Can you really truly internalize that? But can you be okay showing people an imperfect front? Can you be okay saying, yeah, you can come do dinner at my house, just know and understand that the laundry isn't going to be all the way done. I'm not going to feed you on fine china and and silverware. You know what? This is just the way that I'm going to present myself to the world. Now, we have to be comfortable with where our houses, are, what they look like. But can I show myself to the world as less than perfect? Because that is what makes us endearing. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us, confrontable to other people. So when we're talking about whether it's our house or whether it's anything else, I mean, when it comes to marketing, it's how we show ourselves to the world. It's how we are, saying, I present myself this way, and therefore that's why you love me. That's why you like me.
Well, I keep hearing that too, on whatever I read or hear. It's all about authenticity, which is what we're talking about today. But I think the reason that is the way it is because people want to know, like, your house is not always perfectly organized. They want to know that sometimes I do eat junk food. Sometimes I don't want to work out. Recently, I posted a Instagram story about how I legit did not want to work out. Like, I was like dragging myself through it. I was like, I won't say hating every second because I don't hate it, but it was tough.
Yeah.
And I got such a good response because people were like, oh, good, you are human.
Yeah. Well, I have never, ever, ever gotten a better reach on social media than when I posted a selfie of me standing, not showered, in my workout gear in front of my leaning tower of laundry. It's just because, hey, everybody does that. We all know that. Yeah. And there for a long time, well, I still do. Any picture that I post, I make sure there's something imperfect about the picture. I always want something to be off. I want something to be relatable. I want something, because all of my followers are the type of people that are going to call me out. Hey, you just posted this perfect after, but that's not how it's going to look when it's lived in. Absolutely not. So I try to make sure, other people's before and after pictures, I try to do it justice and be very respectful and say, this is how I left it. Yeah. But if there are any of my pictures, then I try to make sure to show them as there's something that's off. There's something that's wrong, quote unquote, because I don't believe in a perfect world.
My question is, do you have to try? Because every one of my pictures is
No, actually, I don't have to try.
I still haven't mastered the whole taking a great picture thing. Like, I will say I've come a long way.
That's awesome.
So, Megan, one of our main theme here at HomeBot is making your home, head, and health happy. So how do you put a focus on making that happy, and what area is most important to you?
Ooh, so it was home, health, and
home, head, and health.
And head. Oh, well, just like all of them.
Right.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like I've met a couple of my soul sisters here.
Yay!
I've recently kind of been going on this like almost like binge of like organizing things and cleaning things out. And just I know that for a long time I had a sense of scarcity. So I would hang on to jeans I had outgrown and dresses that I might need for a fancy occasion. And really at this point in my life, if I am going somewhere where I need to find something fancy to wear, I just go buy something new. I'm not going to wear the thing that's like 5 years old or the thing that is like 2 sizes too small. Let's be honest. Because it just happens to be there. So I've noticed that as I'm moving that stuff out and I'm like releasing that scarcity, it's going along parallel with releasing scarcity in my business.
Perfect.
And it's going along the same path of like eating till I'm full and that's it.
Love it.
The stuff like that. So for me, I'm very aware of my body. I'm one of those people that it's like, I'll have like a little ache and I'm like, oh, I need to move my right toe to release that pressure in my left hip and all that. Years of yoga, lots of massage therapists, all that. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, I think all of those are so, so important. But if I had to pick one, I would definitely say mind, because, when you shift your mindset around, then your physical world can really start to change as well. So
for sure. for sure.
Absolutely. And that fits in so well with the authenticity that you're after, and the way that you run your business, the way you encourage others to run theirs. There's something to be said about letting go of all of those expectations that you didn't realize you were holding yourself to. And to be able to say, I don't have to keep this because somebody says that I should. This is me getting in touch with my own body, my own success, my own personal needs and wants, to be able to show myself my best foot forward instead of everybody else's expectations foot forward. That authenticity is going to serve you so well with the the proper mindset. Absolutely.
I love it. Like I said, we serve high achieving women, type A, crazy, run 1,000 miles an hour until you hit the brick wall, and then you get up and keep running. How do you serve women like that?
I attract women like that. And I always have. I attract humans like that. Let's put it that way. It's more than just women. And I think the reason for that is I can speak that language. I mean, anybody that's gone through grad school and been a single parent and run their own business, like, you just run all the time. And you hit that wall and you just kind of dust yourself off and get up. I'm not in that place anymore, thank goodness, because it's not sustainable, but I've been there. So I completely understand. And I understand a lot of the mindset that goes into feeling like you can never stop. I just posted about it today, actually, on my Instagram, about 3 ways to rest in your business. Yeah. And so I'm excited to see like some of the feedback on that, honestly, because I know that as, type A women, who are huge go-getters, like, rest is such a low priority for so many people. So I just like,
and it's a source of guilt, I think, and that's something I personally have been working on. This year, this year and a half, since the shutdown all happened, I made myself a promise that I would never run my life the way I was prior to, because finally, when the pressure valve was released, I was like, oh, this is nice. I should probably not do that again. And it hasn't been hard, but it also hasn't been easy, because there are definitely days where I have to remind myself, that my worthiness is not dependent upon how much I accomplish. But because that was conditioned into my brain for my entire life, it takes a lot of unlearning. So there have been days where I'm like, no, I don't have to go find another project. I literally can sit down for 15 minutes and do nothing, or I gave myself permission to scroll on social media because I don't do that. I was like, I have 15 minutes. I can do that. Another thing, my coach was just like, you can meditate more than once a day. And I was like, what? Because I'm such
slow down.
My agenda is like so set in stone that meditation is first thing in the morning. And it never even occurred to me that it could happen later in the day also. And I think a lot of times as women like this, that's what we do. We're like, nope, it has to be this way, this order, this box checked, already done for the day. It's like, maybe I need that again.
Yeah. No, that feels so relatable. I often find that I want to hit Monday morning and just do all the things. And there's just not enough hours in the day. So I've had to schedule them out, over the week, and it's a lot more manageable. But I get it.
So awesome. So awesome.
Megan, I have no doubt that you are phenomenal at what you do as the Chief Marketing Officer. If people want to work with you and find their authentic self, present their authentic self to the world, how can they go about finding you?
Yeah, the best way to find me is go over to meganwinkler.com. And from there, you can reach The Good Business Witch, which is my podcast. And there's a site associated with that as well. Lots of fun resources. And on Instagram, I'm at the Megan Winkler. You can also find me on LinkedIn as well. I like to hang out in both of those places.
Awesome. Wonderful. Awesome. Well, our last thing that we always ask of our guests is if you could give us one thing, one quick tip. We call them happy. You guys, I can't talk today. Happy hacks.
Okay.
One thing that would improve their marketing, their life. What would you tell us?
I would say, listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, because it's not going to steer you wrong. And the more you trust it, that really the happier you're going to be, the more authentic you're going to come across to people. And you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with, that thing we call vulnerability. You're going to feel braver and stronger as yourself when you learn how to trust yourself. So listen to your gut. It ain't
Love
lying.
it. I love it. I actually just read that when you make decisions from your gut, they're like 75 or 80% more accurate than if you think about it too long.
Yeah,
It's true.
I believe it.
It's
Awesome.
true.
Well,
it's kind of crazy to think about, like, so many of our, isn't it like 95% of our decisions are made on emotion alone?
Yeah.
But we only sneak in that 5% logic. So
Yeah.
Follow your gut. Absolutely.
Love it. Thank you, Megan, for joining us.
Thank you.
And
so
we
much.
will link up all of your contact stuff in the show notes. And be sure to subscribe to the Good Witch podcast, or Good Business Witch, right?
Yep.
Good Business Witch podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan.